I'm Dr. Deborah Carter, a clinical and forensic psychologist and certified family law mediator. I developed a parenting coordination training program, and this video will introduce you to the strategic interventions, structures, and skills utilized in parenting coordination. Parenting coordination is an alternative dispute resolution process designed to assist parents in developing an effective co-parenting relationship. It may be utilized by parents who are separated, divorced, or parents who never married. If you are not familiar with the process, it may also be helpful to review the companion book entitled Parenting Coordination, a Practical Guide for Family Law Professionals, which I also authored. I hope you will find the video helpful in understanding how parenting coordination may offer hope to parents and children who are adversely impacted by high conflict in their relationships. Thank you. Ms. Smith, please come in, have a seat. Mr. Smith, please come in, have a seat. Thank you. I'm Dr. Carter. This is your first parenting coordination appointment. How are you guys today?
Fine, thank you.
Good. Mr. and Ms. Smith, this appointment has been set aside for 2 hours for us to go over the order of referral, the professional services agreement, the role and responsibilities of the parenting coordinator, and to give you an opportunity to ask any questions about that. Mr. Smith, would you mind taking off your glasses, please? Your
These
sunglasses?
are prescription.
I understand, but you won't be needing to read anything today, so I'd appreciate if you'd go ahead and take them off. Thank you. I sent a copy of the professional services agreement to your attorney for you to have an opportunity to review, and I understand that your attorneys have reviewed with you the order of referral. Did you have any questions about either one of those documents?
No.
Okay, good. Well, we're going to go over some of the elements of the professional services agreement to make sure that we're clear on that from the beginning. One of those things sets forth the role and responsibilities of a parenting coordinator. Do you know what parenting coordination is?
No, not really. I mean, what?
Okay, well, good. Let me explain it to you. Parenting coordination is an alternative dispute resolution process that is ordered for parents who have children, whether they're separated or divorced. It's ordered for parents who are not able to resolve their conflicts constructively. The two of you have been divorced for some time, and the court decided that this might be a helpful process for you. This parenting coordination process is one where my role is to help you understand the impact for children when they're exposed to conflict between the two of you. All children want the love and attention of both of their parents. I'm sure you both love your children.
Well, of course.
And children really thrive when they have the opportunity to grow up in an environment that is free of hostility and conflict. So that will be one of the things that we'll be talking about in our parenting coordination work. One of the other things is to help the two of you learn how to be healthy co-parents. You were previously marital partners. Yes, I know it's a big change, isn't it? From being marital partners into being co-parents. But you don't have to be marital partners. You don't have to be friends. You don't have to even like each other.
That's easy.
That's
But
good.
forever, you will be parents to your children. So that's why the court has ordered you into this process. One of the other roles and responsibilities is to help educate you about how to resolve conflicts more constructively. You're here because you have some parenting disputes. I don't know what those disputes are at this point in time. We're certainly going to get into those, and each of you will have an opportunity to speak. But you're here because you haven't been able to agree on how to parent your children
Yeah.
together.
It's true.
Okay, good. I'm a licensed psychologist. I am a certified family law mediator, and I'm a parenting plan evaluator. But when I'm appointed as a parenting coordinator, I'm not serving in any of those other roles. I've not had either a professional or a personal relationship with either one of you prior to this time. Today's the first day I've met you. I don't know you. I don't know your children. I don't know any of your family members or any of your friends. That's what keeps me in a neutral, unbiased third-party role. Do you have any questions about that piece?
No.
Okay, good. In the professional services agreement, we also talk about scheduling. The scheduling, as I said, today is a 2-hour appointment, but usually our appointments are going to be about an hour in length. Generally in the beginning, we'll meet on a weekly basis until I can identify the parenting issues and we can figure out where we need to make some modifications, who we need as a part of the professional team that we developed. And we also have an opportunity then to help me know a little bit more about your children, because I haven't met your children, and it's unlikely that I'm going to be meeting your children. So I want each of you to tell me about your children. The other thing we talk about is the fee arrangements. Each of you have already deposited a retainer. When it is time for your retainer to be replenished, my staff will contact you and you'll have the opportunity to replenish that. That's a necessary part of the process so that we can progress without interruption. Any questions about that?
Oh, no, I expect you to get paid.
Okay, great. One of the things about the scheduling appointments is who will be in attendance. Generally, I'm going to be meeting with both of you together. I generally do not meet with the children. I do not meet with any significant others or family members. So each of you will be attending these appointments together. Should the occasion arise where I might need to meet with you individually, I will let the other person know about that in advance because it's important that each of you develop some confidence and trust in my role as a neutral third party. So I'm not going to be having secret meetings with either one of you. I'm also not going to be reviewing documents that the other person doesn't have an opportunity to review. Do you have any questions about that?
No, we have no choice. We have to be here.
You're right. It is court ordered, which means it's not a court suggestion, it's an order. And when the court enters an order, that means they do expect you to follow that order.
I do have a question about the fees, though.
What's that?
Why am I having to pay almost all of it? Why am I having to? She makes $13,000. I give her $13,000 a month.
You know, I am not privy to any of your financial arrangements at all. That's something that the court has determined. And so if you have an issue with that, that's something that you'll need to take back to the court. I get the order, and the order said each of you have to pay a certain percentage, and that's what's reflected in the professional services agreement. I suggest you speak with your attorney if you have more questions about that. That'd be fine. One of the other things I want to make sure you're clear about is the emergency procedures. Unlike if an appointment with a psychologist or a physician where you may have an emergency that might occur after hours, after business hours, you could call or you could page that professional. That's not the case here because I'm not providing a health care service. This is an alternative dispute resolution process. That means that if you have an emergency after business hours, that's Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, then you should call 911 or go to your local emergency. So I don't take emergency phone calls, and I won't be responding to any emergency phone calls. Are you clear about that part?
Crystal.
Okay, great. Any questions at all about anything involved in this parenting coordination process?
When are you going to meet with her boyfriend who's living with my children?
You know, I don't know anything about the significant others
Starting
that are
already.
involved. Yeah.
Listen,
well,
I'm
you
in the
know,
middle of something. You can butt out.
You know what? This is a good opportunity for me to talk about how this process is going to work. In order for this to go well, I need each of you not to speak over the other and not to interrupt. I'll make sure that I watch the time so that each of you have an opportunity to speak and to talk about your parenting issues. That's what I want to hear about. But I can't hear if you're speaking at the same time. Can we agree to that?
That's fine. Which
Okay.
brings me back to my question.
What's that, sir?
When are you going to meet with her boyfriend who lives iced tea, no less?
It's very unlikely that I'll be meeting with current significant others unless they're in an active parenting role, but we'll get into that at our next appointment. Tell me about your children. I understand you have 2 children. What are their names? I'd like to hear from both of you, so it doesn't really matter who starts.
I'll start.
Okay, great.
Yes.
As usual.
We have two beautiful children.
Okay.
In spite of him. And Parker is 10.
Mm-hmm.
And sweet little Pamela is 7 now.
Okay, great. And what grade are they in?
Oh, golly. Parker's, gosh, he's already in what, 4th or 5th grade? No,
Yeah.
4th grade, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. And let's see, Pammy. Pammy's in 2nd.
Okay, great. And what school do they go to currently?
Let's see, they go to Notre Dame Christian School.
Okay, great. And do they have any extracurricular activities?
Oh, yeah, boy, yeah. Parker, boy, I'm telling you, loves sports.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. He tried baseball. He wasn't quite as adept at baseball, but
Okay.
but he loves to be outside, play some soccer.
Okay.
He also plays with our dog a lot, bike rides, does that sort of thing.
Yeah, what's the name of your dog?
Boo Boo.
Okay, great.
And big video gamer too when he's
Okay.
inside.
Okay, great. And how about Pamela? Does she have any extracurricular
Oh yeah,
activities?
she's in dance.
Okay.
Ballet, tap, jazz.
Okay.
Of course, and taking piano too.
Okay, good. And how are the children doing in school?
Well, they're really smart kids.
Okay.
They do really well. They do. This past year, not quite as good as before.
Okay. Do you have a copy of their most recent report cards?
Well, not with me.
Okay, well, I'm going to need you to either bring that to the office or go ahead and fax that over, and I'm going to need the progress reports as well as the report cards on an ongoing basis.
Well, I'll look for them.
Okay, that'd be great. Mr. Smith.
I'm really glad you asked for those report cards. I will get them to you first thing in the morning. I'll fax them. You'll see how they're bright kids. She's right, and they just fell off a cliff when this iced tea guy moved into her house.
Okay, well, I'm going to hear about iced tea
Here
just
we
here
go
in a
again.
second. You know, I don't know if you remember, a few minutes ago I had talked about some of the rules of how we were going to be proceeding here, and about the waiting for the other person to stop speaking before you continued, because it's virtually impossible for me to listen to both of you at the same time. So if you wouldn't mind, I'll make sure that I have set aside time to hear each of you. Is that something that we can all agree to?
Oh, yes,
That'd be
please.
great. Okay. I don't need a duplicate set of the academic records. However, I do need medical records. Will you be responsible for getting me a copy of the children's medical records, dental records, any mental health records? That way you can sort of divide duties and I'll have the information that I need. Is that something that'll work for both of you?
Be happy to do that.
Okay.
We have some friends in common. They said that one of the things you do is recommend mental health folks, and I would like Parker to have access to
Okay.
a psychologist.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to talk
Friends
about
in
that in just a
common?
minute.
So you guys know each other? I thought you said you
No,
did.
we don't know each other. That's not what
I
I
wasn't
said. You need
talking
to
to you.
listen.
I'm talking to the doctor.
Mr. Smith, hold on just a moment. No, we don't know each other, and if we do have a friend in common, I'm not aware that we have a friend in common. Who would that be, Mr. Smith?
People at the club,
Which club is that?
the country club.
Well, you know, there's about 4,000 members there, so I'm not really sure that I've ever even seen you there at the
No, I don't
country
think we've
club.
ever met before.
Okay, I don't think so either. I'm not aware of having any friends or any acquaintances
Well, I hope
even
not.
in common. No, it would be professionally unethical for me to have accepted the appointment as your parenting coordinator if I knew either one of you or either your children or any of your close relatives that would be there. That would be a
Good.
conflict, so I
Good.
wouldn't do that. Okay, let's talk some more about Pamela and Parker. Who is currently living in your home with you and Pamela and Parker, Ms. Smith?
Well, I covered Boo Boo.
Yes. Anyone else?
Well, yeah, I have a friend.
Okay. And what's this friend's name?
His name is Travis
Okay. And what's Travis's last name?
Miller.
Okay. And how long has Travis been there?
I don't know exactly. It's been over a year.
Okay. And what's the nature of your relationship with Mr.
Nature?
Miller?
He lives there.
Is this a romantic relationship? Does he have a...
Yes, I suppose. You could call it a romantic
Okay.
relationship.
Does he have any kind of parenting role with the children?
Well, he's good with the kids. I mean,
But I mean, does he give them guidance? Is he taking care of them when you're not there? Is he disciplining the
well,
children?
occasionally if I've, got an appointment, he may be there when they're there, but I parent my children.
You're supposed to
Okay.
send them to me.
Mr. Smith, if you would mind not interrupting, I'll give you an opportunity to speak in just a moment. Okay.
Second time.
I'm keeping track, Ms. Smith. So this is, let's see, in your home there's Parker and there's Pamela.
Yes.
There's Mr. Miller and Boo Boo. Anyone else in your home?
No.
Okay, Mr. Smith, who is residing in your home with you when the children are there?
I am hoping that the children will be with me a whole lot more often, so I'm making sure there's nobody else in the home. I want a real clean, clear picture for them to have a secure environment, not where there's a new guy coming in every few months and people come, people go, the sheriffs are knocking
I'm not
for
going to
drug
stand
charges.
for this derogatory
Smith.
statements.
Excuse me. I'm going to need you not to interrupt because I really can't
It's
listen to you both at the
slanderous.
same time. You know,
It's not slanderous if the cops are at your door.
Mr. Smith, if you wouldn't mind, Ms. Smith, if you could refrain yourself, I really need to hear from Mr. Smith directly, and then you'll have an opportunity to comment. Is that something that
All
you can
right.
manage? Great. So who is in your home, Mr. Smith?
Nobody, myself and when the kids are there, myself and the kids. Otherwise, it's just me.
Anyone else who to whom the children may be exposed that might be in a potential parenting role?
My fiance and I have made it a point
And what's
to
your fiance's name?
Susan.
Okay. And so she is there at your home sometimes when the children are there?
When the children are not there, we've made it a point not to introduce. We just recently got engaged. Once we're really
Okay.
sure the relationship is in for the duration,
Okay.
then I will introduce them to the children. But I want the children to have the security.
So the children have not met your fiance?
No, they've had far too much insecurity at their mother's house. I'm not going to do that to them.
Okay. Do you have a date set or anything for when,
No,
when
this
you're
is very
planning?
new.
Okay, all right. I have not had an opportunity to review your parenting plan, so it'd be helpful if you could let me know what your current time-sharing arrangement is, and I'd like to hear from both of you, so it doesn't really matter who starts.
Well, I'll start.
Okay, go ahead.
You're talking about the order, the thing that we had from the court.
Your court order, which is a marital settlement agreement that
Yeah.
includes something called a parenting plan, and
Okay.
that's the amount of time when the children
Yeah.
are in your home and then the amount of time when the children are in dad's home.
Okay.
So what's the current arrangement?
Yeah. That is every other weekend,
Okay.
and then once during the week.
Now, could you define the weekend for me? Does that start on Friday after school?
Yes, Friday
Okay.
after school, and
Until
then
what time?
Sunday, supposedly back before 6.
Okay. Does it
That
say
doesn't
before 6 or does it say 6 p.m. on
All right,
Sunday?
6 p.m. It says
Okay,
6
great.
p.m.
And so that's every other weekend that the children
Correct.
are to be going with dad.
Correct.
And does dad pick them up from school and then drop them at your home?
Well, that's a whole nother story.
Okay.
I mean, he expects me to get him over to him wherever he is at
okay,
the time.
so you've been doing the transport at this point in time, and you're
I went on
transporting to
anal.
and from his house?
You like it that I
Yes.
make enough money to get you your
and then
$13,000
if
a
you,
month.
Mr. Smith, if you could
That's
wait just,
fine by you.
Mr. Smith,
I deal with this all the
Mr.
time.
Smith, I'm going to need you not to interrupt, okay? It's very difficult for me to hear both people at the same time. I'll give you an opportunity to speak in just a moment. Ms. Smith, I'm
Good
sorry.
luck.
You were saying you transport the children to and from
Yes.
his house,
Well, it depends
or
on
he
where
picks
he
them
is.
up after school?
Well, he's at work all the time, so sometimes it's at work.
So on Friday, and the children are out of school, who picks them up to when they're supposed
Most
to go to their
often
dad's?
on Friday it would be to his work because he's never home.
So you pick them up from school and take them to his work, is that correct?
Well, yes,
Okay.
because he tells me to.
Okay, all right. Well, and it
And I
sounds
do
like
it when I can. I mean, I can't always
it
get
does
it there.
sound like that's something we're going to need to talk about as an issue. But I'm just trying to get a sense of what the time sharing arrangement is. And there's one time during the week,
Yes,
did you say?
yes.
And when is that?
That's Wednesdays,
And from what time to what time?
5 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay. And is it the same kind of arrangements where you drop off and he picks up, or how does that work?
Well, that would be nice, but I'm the one who's always transporting.
Okay, so mom's driving. Okay, all right then. And Mr. Smith, have you had any difficulty exercising the time-sharing arrangement that was ordered by the court?
You darn right I have. She refuses to rent. Those Wednesdays are a great example. They're supposed to be there at 6. She comes at 8. I mean, my kids are in bed by 9.
Okay, have you considered picking up the children?
That's not really feasible, doctor. You know what I do for a living. You
No,
know how
actually, I'm not sure I do know,
we run.
Mr.
We
Smith.
run the largest grocery chain in the nation.
Okay, all right then. So transport is an issue for you, and Wednesdays are an issue for you as well?
It needs to be a bit more flexible. I'm called out of town with some frequency.
Okay, and how about on the weekend? Are you generally in town and able to spend time with your children on the weekends?
Almost all the time. I'm not. It's almost always a transportation thing. If I have to charter a plane to
Okay.
be back, I do.
Okay, so transport is an issue, and Wednesdays are an issue. Okay. And do you have anybody who is available to provide reliable transportation for the children so the burden doesn't fall solely on
I can
mom?
arrange that.
Okay, and who might that be?
I would probably hire a company,
A company?
a limousine company.
Okay, all right. All right, well, let's talk about that. You know, as I mentioned, this parenting coordination process is really something to focus on the children. I've gone over the roles and the responsibilities and some of the things that we're going to focus on. I'm wondering if the two of you have given any thought to what goals you have, how you're hoping this process will be helpful for you.
I'm real clear.
Mr. Smith, what goals do you have?
I want my children away to have the least possible exposure to undesirable forces. I don't want them hanging around with rappers named Ice-T. I don't want them hanging around with people who have DCF complaints against them, like sheriff's office whose complaints against them.
He's starting again.
Mr.
Known and
Smith,
found to have
Mr.
cocaine.
Smith, Mr. Smith, please sit back. We're not going to have any interactions here where you raise your voice or where I'm not able to hear both of you speak. Okay? So if you could follow just that basic rule, that would be really helpful for us. So your goals are to, could you
I
articulate
think the
that
children
again?
should be living with me most of the time and have perhaps
Okay.
supervised visitation with the mother.
Okay, so your goal is to change the parenting plan and to limit the amount of time the children are with their mother?
They can have all the time, it just needs to be with adult supervision. She needs adult supervision.
Okay, so you want to change the parenting plan and limit contact with mom, right? Okay. And how about you, Mom? Do you have any goals for this parenting coordination process? What would you like to accomplish?
Well, he obviously wants to take the children away from their mother. I mean, that's very clear.
I did hear him say
Well,
that. Go
that's
ahead.
completely wrong. I mean, you should know that.
Well, you know, that's not something that I'm going to be able to change because that would be a substantial change, and that's only something that the court will be able to order. But I'll certainly hear what kind of issues you have. But let's focus on the goals for a moment. How are you hoping this parenting coordination process can be helpful to you?
Oh, well, gee, in a dream world, it would keep him from abusing me. I mean, you've heard the verbal abuse.
Okay.
I mean, in front of the children.
Okay. So you would like to decrease the verbal abuse by Dad. What else?
Oh, and how about some sharing of the transportation of the children?
Okay. All right.
And I want to limit their exposure to this, what he calls fiance, Suzanne.
Okay.
Or Susan, or
She
whatever her
doesn't see
most
the
recent.
children. The
He's
children don't
interrupting
know.
again.
Yes, he is. Okay. Limit exposure to Susan.
She's nothing but a mousy nanny. That's all he's doing. He's just trying to
Okay.
get the kids
You
away
know-
from me
you know-
and let her take
Let
them.
me just stop you right there because we are going to waste a lot of time and a lot of money if I can't hear either one of you and you're just saying negative things about each other and the choices that you've made. We're really here to focus on the kids. So can we agree that we will focus on the children?
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
I will do my best.
to focus on the children?
I will do my best not to get caught up in this.
That'd be great. Okay. If you'll pull out your calendars, then we need to set our next appointment. That'll be next week. Could you pull out your calendar, please?
I don't have it this time.
Well, we'll have to make the appointment, and I'll give you a card, and then we'll set that, and then next time you'll have an opportunity to bring your calendar and have some input. How does that work?
That makes sense.
Great. Okay, let's set our next appointment. It's nice to see each of you again. We had set this appointment today to talk about a couple of the conflicts that you mentioned in passing at our last appointment, one having to do with some concerns about the mental health of the children and your difficulty identifying appropriate providers upon whom you could agree. And the other issue seemed to be a school-related and transportation issue. So I would like to hear from each of you about both of those issues, and let's see if we can identify those issues, who may assist us in helping with those issues, or who our team members might be, and then we're going to work toward seeing if we can't resolve that conflict. Ms. Smith, Mr. Smith started last time, so would you like to start and talk about those issues this time?
Well, if he'd be reasonable, we wouldn't have issues. first
You
of all.
know, well, if you could identify the issues for me, that would be a helpful way for us to proceed. So could you talk to me a little bit about any concerns about the children's school?
Yes,
Okay, great.
I will do that. I certainly will. They're in this private school.
Right?
Oh, just exorbitantly expensive. It's full
Okay.
of all these elite snobs. I don't want my children to end up like him.
I see. Okay, so is finances a problem? Because I'd understood Mr. Smith to say that he was the one that was taking care of all the
All right, so he pays for it. It doesn't keep them from being
Okay,
these
so
elitists.
Okay, so finances is not really the issue or your concern with the school.
Oh, it's much more important issue.
Okay, so you said it is the makeup of the children or the personnel of the
Oh,
school that causes...
that's just the beginning of it. I
Okay.
mean, not only are the children going to end up like him, but I mean,
No,
all those
no,
people.
let me interrupt you, Miss Smith. What do you mean end up like him? What could you articulate?
He's
your-
nothing but a glorified farmer.
I see. Okay.
He just acts like he's God.
Okay. Now, you know, if you will recall, we went over
Oh,
some
you
of...
think it's funny?
Mr. Smith.
I'm sorry, when she gets that way, ma'am, how do you LSA handle it?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to handle it this way. I need to remind you that name calling is not going to be helpful here. I'm trying to understand your issues about the school. The children
Yes.
are in private school.
Yes,
They've
they
been
are.
in private school since they started school.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yes, correct.
Now you would like them to change schools,
Yes.
and you'd like them to change schools because?